Hello my friends, what is going on? Welcome back to For Strategy Gaming and some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be looking at a series between Stephano and WhiteRa. We are on Antigua Shipyard. We have got Stephano spawning in the 12 o'clock spawn location as our pink Zerg player. I know it's more like 11 o'clock, but whatever. And then down over here in the 5 and or 6 o'clock spawn location, we've got WhiteRa as the red Protoss player. Protoss versus Zerg, WhiteRa versus Stephano. Oh yes, I am excited. Here, game number 1 on Antigua Shipyard. And what is this? WhiteRa starting things off with a Forge Fast expand. No questions asked. That is absolutely 100% positively what is he doing. Coming out with his first pylon right here at the front wall off, and he will be going Forge and then Gateway and then Cybernetics Core, getting a cannon or two back there, and then of course also coming out with his Nexus. So yes, a quick expand build here from WhiteRa, very popular in this matchup. I know you guys know that if you happen to watch StarCraft 2 commentaries with any sort of frequency. This is just the way it is. Such a strong opener for a Protoss player. It's very safe, very reliable. Very rarely is a Forge Fast expand dealt with by early aggression from a Zerg opponent, and even if they try, a lot of times it's very difficult for them to actually do much of anything, especially on a map like this. I mean, you take a look here, that's not the smallest, but it isn't exactly huge in terms of an entrance into the natural. This makes it so that once WhiteRa gets that Cybernetics Core and he starts coming out with a couple of sentries, 2 to 3, he's got really no problem dealing with early game aggression from roaches and speedlings. He can force field and let his cannons pretty much do most of the work. Now back over here for Stephano, it does appear like he decided to open up with one base play, getting scouted early on by WhiteRa, in addition to the fact that the Forge Fast Expand build is so very likely that you'll have to deal with cannons. It just kind of made it so that Stephano decided to go out pool first. And even with this said, we can see right now he has gone with this hatch. It's not entirely impossible for WhiteRa to open up with some cannon harass. However, that is going to be significantly delayed by the fact that WhiteRa did decide to go Nexus first and then drop the Forge. Had he gone Forge first, he could have very well done some cannon harass here at the natural, and that most certainly would have been kind of a little headache there for Stephano in terms of how effectively he would have been able to deal with it. But again, that's not going to happen because WhiteRa did go Nexus first, and as a result, his cannons won't be out in time to actually be effective here. As you can see already, those first 2 Zerglings on the way, and we'll just be starting out with just those 2. He's also got a Queen coming along, and this of course is going to force WhiteRa to head on back home. Really not going to be able to do much more harass and or scouting with that probe any longer now that these Zerglings are in play. Back over here, WhiteRa now coming out with his cannon. So going to be that Gateway there providing a little bit of protection for that. The first Zergling not likely to get in and get any scouting done. In fact, he is just sitting at the Xel'Naga Tower for the moment. So no Zergling scouts will actually be able to get into WhiteRa's base, but you know, all Stephano has to do is walk up to the front here of this ramp and get about halfway up so that he gains vision of the top. He'll be taking a hit from that cannon, but at least he'll know exactly what's going on, and he can survive one hit. It's that second one that he's got to be careful for. So there we go, grabbing his Zergling, and he has spotted what he needs to see and actually pulled out of the range just before that cannon was able to lay a shot down. So nice and safe, and he's going to be able to chill out there for quite a while since it's going to be a long time until WhiteRa can actually push out with anything to kill off that Zergling. He doesn't really have anything coming anytime soon. Cybernetics Core is the next thing. And he could come out with the Zealot, although it's not really necessary. He has left a space, though, for 1 unit. And so you can see him testing that there with the probe. So he will actually be going Zealot first and then holding off that choke with that. The reason I mention anything is because a lot of times you'll see the Protoss players actually just go for a full wall off and skip the early game Zealot and then just start getting out those sentries once the Cybernetics Core is finished. But again, as we can see, WhiteRa has decided to do other than that. And also back over here, we can see WhiteRa coming out with a pylon here, trying to delay the third. Why is he doing that? Well, in a Forge Fast Expand, there's 2 really things that a Zerg player can do. They can stay on those 2 bases and go up to layer tech and try to get out a strong force, or they can just go right away for a third. And he's assuming that Stephano will be going for a third, and dropping that pylon is going to delay that quite a bit. We can see actually Stephano now coming out with 6 Zerglings just to deal with that, so they can drop that as soon as possible and get his third up and running. In fact, he's actually pulling back with this Zergling now as his Zealot makes its way across the map. Back here at home, we can see the sentry follow up as expected, and going to be following up right away with a robotics facility. This, of course, allows a WhiteRa to come out with an observer early on, and we may actually also see, quite possibly, some warp prism play. WhiteRa is known for playing around with the warp prism quite effectively. And look at that micro! That was very, very nice there by Stephano. not losing a single Zergling and killing off that Zealot. Beautiful play there. He just pulled those Zerglings back at the very last moment that he had to, and actually going to be moving up and testing that there just to see if WhiteRa pushed up into that expansion. But as we can see, that has not happened. In addition to that, robotics that we see coming out, we're going to be seeing a bunch more gateways come out over here as well. Robotics now finished. Let's see if we go straight Observer. Got a couple Zerglings trying to push forward. Not going to be able to do much against that one cannon, plus this sentry being able to force field in the second sentry. And there it is. War Prism. Yes, WhiteRa, I'm so proud of you. Coming out with that War Prism, that is going to allow him to do some Zealot bombing, some Zealot harass, whatever words you want to call it. It will allow him to do some eco harass against his opponent. Now, one issue with this type of build here that WhiteRa is going for is that it takes a while for you to ramp up. After you forge Vast Expand, you're so delayed with your tech, since your Cybernetics Core and your Gateway are coming out so much later than they typically are, that it takes a while to kind of ramp up an army and get a nice strong force. Now, doing this type of thing can really throw your opponent off guard, and I'm really, really happy to see this taking place. I just worry about something like that. Oh boy, we got a Overlord right here fully scouting out that War Prism coming across the map, and this of course completely tips Stephano off as to what is coming, and this is going to allow him to prepare adequately to defend against it. So a little unfortunate there for WhiteRa. He has been scouted out, and Stephano will expect this. We'll just have to see how he responds. Probably, I'm assuming what he's going to want to do is just keep a few units there in either position. Actually, you can see right now, got a Spine and a Spore coming out there as defense. Same thing over here. Now, the Spore, of course, will do cloak detection, but most importantly, it can also shoot that War Prism out of the sky if WhiteRa's not paying quite enough attention. So, really unfortunate situation here for WhiteRa that War Prism did get scouted by that Overlord. I'm going to make this not nearly as effective as it otherwise could have been. We do see, looks like WhiteRa's preparing to move into a third expansion. At the same time, moving across here with this War Prism, taking a couple shots there from that Spore, as well as that Queen. We got a few Roaches moving down, and there's another Spore. So WhiteRa not doing any damage so far with this. In fact, may just be losing everything. I'm really concerned right now. WhiteRa losing the War Prism and doing absolutely no damage in return. That is quite unfortunate. He lost the War Prism and all of the Zealots that were inside of it as well without doing any damage whatsoever. That's certainly something that is going to set WhiteRa quite a bit behind. Look at that, 875 resources lost so far this game. Not really the best position, but again, at the same time, we can see he is moving into that third expansion and starting to make his way up into some Colossus tech. One Colossus up, we'll be following that up immediately with another one. He is banking those resources right now for that very thing. And there it is, queued up right away. We got Roaches here, getting ready to push on these back rocks. And how will WhiteRa prepare? He's got a couple of cannons prepared to come in. Lots of sentries will allow him to force field out those Roaches, but those Roaches can just completely bypass if that does happen. The wall is down, and the Roaches moving into the lower position. Now, again, we do have that one Colossus up. Second Colossus, I'm assuming he's getting Chrono Boost. No, he's not. I would really want to see a Chrono Boost there on that second Colossus. Get him out nice and early. That'll allow him to much more easily deal with this aggression. We have got 8 more Roaches coming out, and Stephano pushing back, so breaking down those rocks, deciding not to push yet. A couple of Changelings getting dropped. Is WhiteRa gonna even bother with those? Nah, he doesn't care. He's pulling back. We do have expansion here at the high yield coming out for Stephano. Stephano, that is a very risky position, but he also knows that WhiteRa is in his third expansion, so this is really a good opportunity for him to get up a high yield and be pretty safe with it. Second Colossus popping right now. Twilight Council coming out as well for WhiteRa. That, of course, is going to allow him to tech up Charge Zealots, Blink Stalkers, possibly even work his way up into some High Templar tech. We do have... Oh, no, never mind. I really thought that those were actual units there for WhiteRa, but those are, in fact, just the Changelings just following the rest of Stephano's army. I don't know why he's not sending those out towards WhiteRa to get a little bit of scouting, but oh well, whatever. Observer Scout chilling out over here. I just needed a moment to cough. We've got Burrow Research coming out, as well as some Corruptors. Corruptors, of course, will be used to deal with those Colossus quite effectively. Burrow Research, as well as the range level 2 upgrades coming out for his ground units. So take a look at upgrades over here for WhiteRa. He is 01, coming out with that armor level 2. That's going to pop right now, so he's now 1-1. And that's going to put him actually in a strong position. However, those level 2 weapons upgrade now finishing for those Roaches. And again, that Burrow Research getting oh so close. WhiteRa just pushing to the center of the map and denying vision at that Zelnaga tower. I'm not sure if he spotted that, though. I assume that he did since he had the tower momentarily. Yes, he did. So was able to scout out Stephano's expansion over here. Oh, I'm completely forgetting about that Observer as well. He did end up having an Observer over there that did manage to get some scouting. Now we got a couple of Roaches pulling up in that expansion. The bulk of the Roach army moving down here, as well as all those Corruptors. And let's see how Is WhiteRa going to be able to deal with this? Those roaches get quickly taken care of from those photon cannons. Here go the roaches pushing right up on the expansion. We get a Protoss army for WhiteRa hitting the backside. There we go. Roaches finally turn around to engage. Corruptors moving in, sniping down those Colossus. Guardian shields helping quite a bit at cutting back a little bit of that damage. Those roaches are powering through. The Corruptors taking out those Colossus, but there are just too many Stalkers here right now. And with that extra armor upgrade helping their durability, able to push back those roaches, even though they've got those level 2 weapons upgrades. Unfortunately, there are just too many Stalkers from the handle. He did manage to take out all this Colossus, but you know what? I don't think WhiteRa cares right now. He's actually making a transition at the moment into going Immortal Heavy just to deal with those roaches. Any counter harass or anything like that coming out? No, I don't believe so. We've got level 2 weapons upgrade making its way on in right now for WhiteRa. In addition to that, he's got Blink Research. That's going to help him chase down Corruptors and as well as kind of just get a little sandwich there on those roaches. Not a delicious sandwich, but an actual strategical sandwich. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. Roaches and Speedlings there in the center of the map. Corruptors as well, and it does look like Stephano is ready for another engagement. He's preparing to push down at the moment. We're sitting Stalker heavy, few mortals, going to help tremendously against those roaches. He does need to make sure he target fires, though, because we do have some Zerglings in the mix as well. Nice force fields cutting a lot of those roaches off from the bulk of the engagement. We have a little bit of corruption going down on those Immortals, but still terrible position there for Stephano and beautiful force fields for WhiteRa. That turned out absolutely perfectly for WhiteRa. Taking a look there at the resources lost. Stephano is behind after that engagement. That just did not work in his favor. Immortals now within the range of those roaches. Will be target firing them down. There's so many Blink Stalkers here. Roaches not able to do too much. Burrowed Roaches helping a bit, but never mind. Unburrowing right now on top of those Immortals. Blink Stalkers pushing forward, allowing them to snipe down some small remnants of those forces. Could use an Observer over here. We got 2 being chrono boosted out right now by WhiteRa. Here comes the push. WhiteRa, Blink Stalker heavy, moving towards that high yield, and Stephano is really not in a position to take this at all. Now he's got 21 roaches about to pop, and that's going to help him deal with WhiteRa's army, but with some Blink Stalker micro, in all honesty, WhiteRa should be okay. I'm not too concerned for him at the moment. Losing that high yield, that is rough for Stephano. He is now 3 base versus 3 base Protoss, and there's not the best position for him to be in. He is going to be sticking Roach and Hydra heavy. Does have some Zerglings in the mix as well to help actually distract those Immortals and just try to soak up some of that fire. He's not sitting too Zergling heavy. Again, it's just a little bit extra. But those Blink Stalkers, this is going to be really tough for him to deal with. I do not think that Stephano has anywhere near what he needs right now. Look at that micro just pulling back those Stalkers as they get low. And WhiteRa will systematically be tearing through the army of Stephano and then pushing him back. And this is a really scary moment right now for Stephano. He does not have enough. We got some Speedlings, Roaches, and Hydras coming out. All those creep tumors getting dropped as our observers make our way with the bulk of the army here for WhiteRa, and Stephano about to lose his third. He needs to stop this from happening. We'll be pushing from the backside, but again, I just don't think he has enough. We've got a couple of drones moving down, some Blink Stalker micro. Drones trying to do some damage, but really not doing that much. The Hydras do tear through those Stalkers, but again, with some micro, WhiteRa should have no problem. And there we go, going to be cleaning up the rest of Stephano's army. It's only a matter of time until we probably see the GG. There's no counter aggression or anything like that going on at all. And again, just a little bit more micro here from WhiteRa, and he's got no problem with this. We've got some Speedling reinforcements, and actually 16 Speedlings, and once those pop, I'm a little bit concerned for these small amounts of Stalkers right now. We do have some reinforcements coming out across the map, though, and that should be enough. WhiteRa moving up right now, taking out this expansion. Again, Stephano is just way too far behind at the moment. He's lost so many resources, as well as losing that high yield expansion. And there it is, Stephano saying grats and piecing out of there. Alright everyone, that was game number 1 here between WhiteRa and Stephano. We will be moving on to game number 2 in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for game 2. Keep watching and keep owning.